First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Once again, I know I've shown this shot a couple of times already, but it just looks so awesome and I want to go skiing, so I keep bringing it up there. But regardless, we are live, and thanks for joining us. We are live streaming on YouTube, on Facebook, on our apps, and of course on our website. And with Fox 12 Now, you can also interact. You can drop in your comments and questions as we go throughout the show, and of course share those afterward. We get to talk about a lot of different things happening here in the city, in Oregon, in the Northwest, and beyond. But the Portland Book Festival is returning next week to Portland, a really amazing event that happens here every year, and we are going to talk all about it right now because we have two of the very important people from this event who are joining us. Let me pull them in here. We will get them on now. There we go. We've got Andrew Proctor and Amanda Bullock joining us, Executive Director, Senior Artistic Director, and thank you to both of you, for being here to talk about this. Really excited. And I don't know who wants to go first, but what we always like to do when we talk about some of these big events, these really major events here that happen in the Northwest, is understand a little bit of the history of it and how it got started, just to bring everybody up to speed. And if you could, I don't know who wants to share that first, but could we hear about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to pick that up. I'm Andrew. I'm the director. Thanks so much for having us, and I'm excited about that ski shot at Meadows as well.
Right?
Pretty exciting. Awesome. I love to see that snow. The Portland Book Festival has been around. We've been running it since 2015. It has been around, and its previous iteration was called Wordstock. That began in 2005. We took it over in 2015 and have made it a sort of the largest book festival in the Pacific Northwest. And we moved it to the park blocks. It takes place inside the Portland Art Museum. It takes place in the old church. It takes place at the Oregon Historical Society. So a lot of really incredible other arts organizations and cultural organizations are part of it. Brings 100 writers to downtown Portland, and they speak. It's one day extravaganza, so you got to plan your day very carefully. There's I think 8 stages or maybe more this year. I can't even remember. 11 stages this year. So we are thrilled to be back and to celebrating downtown Portland, celebrating the cultural institutions of downtown Portland, celebrating books and ideas. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 8,000 people come downtown. It's super intergenerational. So we really welcome kids of all ages. We welcome families. It's a great day for everyone who reads, from those who are learning to those who have been reading their entire lives. It's a really wonderful day, and it's full of incredible authors from all across the country, but also celebrates a lot of amazing Oregon writers too.
11 stages, I think is what you just said there. Is that right?
Yeah, it is 11. We're up this year because we were able to add some kid stages. So we went from 1 stage for picture book and middle grade to 3, thanks to a new partnership with the Judy. And part of the history of the festival is really partnerships too. Some of what happened even before I got here was the work Andrew did to build partnerships with the art museum and with different funders around the city. And we have a partnership with Portland 5. And so this new partnership with the Judy has allowed us to expand. We were at 9 stages and now we're up to 11. So it's pretty exciting.
That's exciting and a lot to manage, I would imagine, for something like this. But so cool. And I think just to talk a little bit more about those partnerships. You mentioned some very amazing places to go to just on their own. The Portland Art Museum, whether it's the events side or the art museum itself, or Portland 5, and now the new stages. So what is it like to work with those organizations and to be able to showcase that on top of the fact that it's the Portland Book Festival taking place there?
Yeah, it's wonderful. We've been partnering with the museum since the beginning, and all of the other folks, with the exception of the Judy, which just opened since the second year in 2016. And the combination of they're just great hosts and they really let us take over their spaces. Luckily, book nerds are very nice and very well-behaved people, so it's not too hard of a sell. And then we really appreciate the chance to highlight what's on offer in downtown Portland too. We do these events in the galleries at the art museums called pop-ups that my colleague Liz programs and does a wonderful job with, where we actually have authors reading in the galleries. So we're encouraging people to check out, like you said, the art side of the museum as well. And a lot of the buildings at Portland 5 really belong to us as Portlanders, and it's a chance for people who might not come into that space for other kinds of events to really get to know that space in a really accessible and open way. So we're really, really proud of all of those partnerships and everyone's. We also have the First Congregational United Church of Christ, Old Church, and the Portland Parks Foundation as great partners on the venues as well.
Such beautiful event spaces. I will say, just on a side note, on a personal level, I used to work at some of the events for the Portland Art Museum, and you are correct. Wordstock, the Portland Book Festival, all nice. Never a problem. Never a problem with book nerds. Always great.
This question of like the value of downtown and the proximity of these institutions really creates this incredible campus and really invites our city to celebrate, what is really vibrant and really amazing about our city. And these institutions are world-class institutions. I mean, the Art Museum, the city this size, to have that institution, it punches way above its weight nationally, internationally. And so the proximity of those, the way you can turn the park blocks into a campus for books and ideas and storytelling in a totally unpretentious way that really welcomes a lot of people in, it speaks to the real value of these sort of central core institutions and the value of the central core.
It's all very walkable too, going to each one of those things, each one of those event spaces that you were talking about.
Walking 4 blocks between each of those institutions at the most.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, let's talk about the book side of things, because I am curious, from your standpoint. We've seen a lot of evolution in books, with audiobooks and everything, a lot of things going digital based, over the last several years. How has that played into the Portland Book Festival, and do you take that into account for some of the events that are happening?
I think the main way it would play in is just there's more people who are readers and I think if you're listening to an audiobook, you're still a reader. If you're reading an ebook, you're a reader. And so I think more people are being exposed to literature and consuming literature in all kinds of ways, which I think is wonderful. And I hope that all those folks want to come hear from the people who wrote those books that they're reading and listening to. So yeah, I think that hopefully it just means it's an even wider audience.
Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, our view is that we're really interested in storytelling, we're interested in ideas, we're interested in great thinkers, whether it's delivered to you as a reader on a dead pine tree or on an e-reader or in your headphones is not even important to us. What's important is that we are thinking, talking, and engaging with each other, engaging with ideas that are important, engaging with ideas that present themselves in long form and really complicated importance.
Well, you mentioned, just the storytelling aspect and having different ideas and thinkers and different, authors who are coming in here. And I would love to know some more about what people can expect when it comes to that. So we talked about that there's a kid stage, want to hear more about that. But what goes into deciding who the authors are, who's going to be speaking? How do you go about that process? Because it's mind-boggling to me to manage something like that. I would love to hear how the process works to decide who is going to be the speakers.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we do have to make some hard choices because partly there's just so many wonderful authors locally, and we're proud to feature a large portion of local authors. But we have an open submission process. So people with books published here at the festival can submit between January and June of that year. And we do get really, really great authors through submissions. And then there's folks that we're asking through their publicists or their representatives. We're saying like, please come. And we really hope that like you'll come to the festival. So it's a combination of us reaching out and then people reaching out to us, if that makes sense. And then the festival is really built around authors in conversation. So most events, we have some in even the kind of minimum event size is an interview. Like Andrew will be interviewing Michael Lewis at the festival. And then a lot of events feature 2 authors who are paired up with a moderator. So we're also really looking at kind of how the books fit together and which books might have relationships to each other. And then looking for things that are of interest to our audience in Portland too. Luckily, Portland has a wide variety of interests. And I'm always like, people here are into the outdoors, they're into tech, they're into news, they're into beer, they're into food. So that doesn't really narrow it down that much. But we do think about like what might be of interest to a local audience as well.
Well, and what I love about Amanda's curation is that she really programs the festival to be really wide open for many people. And I think we have a real strong focus at the organization and in welcoming people in and meeting them where they are and celebrating the writers that they love. And so the festival has nonfiction writers and fiction writers and poets and people who write for YA and people who write for kids and people who write fiction that might be considered more commercial and fiction that might be considered more literary. And we love all of those writers and we don't have any barriers around it.
Yeah, we do our best to kind of have a little bit for everyone as much as we can, like a way in for everybody. And we hope that people try out some new genres that they might not already know of. your pass does get you into most of the events, all of the events at the festival. So yeah.
Talking about that for somebody maybe who's coming in for, say it's somebody going for their first time, going to the Portland Book Festival. They want to know what's going on. Maybe there's one author they want to go see that they saw was coming, but they want to check everything else out. What can they expect? What's that experience like when they walk in the door for the first time?
Yes. So first of all, you should buy your pass in advance because it's cheaper, and you can pick it up in advance and skip the lines day of. If you get your pass ahead of time, you don't have to stand in the box office line. You can go straight to that event. If you're, say, the event you really want to go to, be at Dunwin at 10 a.m., then you can go right there. For that event and the Michael Lewis event, you do need an extra ticket, but it does guarantee you a seat. So you know you're going to get in. You don't have to worry about standing in line. If you're one of the you definitely want to go to a different date, you will want to make sure you take time to get in line early, just to make sure you get a spot. But beyond that, I would say definitely be open to new things, have a couple ideas for each hour. Check out the pop-up events. Make sure you don't miss there. We have 2 floors at the art museum and ballroom that are dedicated to our exhibit fair, which features publishers and bookstores and folks selling cool stuff that book lovers might like, different other nonprofits and organizations around the city. So it's a really nice place to spend some time. And of course, don't forget to eat. We have a bunch of great carts that are going to be out on the park blocks downtown too. So you can really make a whole day of it. But I think the most important thing is be open to discovery and be open to kind of finding something you didn't expect to find. And if there is something you really want, make sure you make time and that you leave space to honestly to get in line with it, to make sure that you get it.
The whole program is in the alignment. So, we also recommend that get the alignment, get the program, and really make a plan for the day. If there are writers that you really want to see, make sure you run a highlighter over those. And then, as Amanda said, really open to exploring other writers once you've seen the sort of main event, whatever that main event is for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much there just to really explore and learn and find out about when it comes to this. And I think, just adding on to that, I think talking to other people who are attendees too is always a fun way to find out about things, like whatever, especially at those places where you can go grab something to eat, check out what everybody else is reading too. It's just a lot of fun. I think, finally for people too, just to reiterate, I want to make sure that everybody knows when, where, and how they can go and how to engage. You mentioned the website, you mentioned getting the ticket ahead of time, getting the guide, but let's make sure people know about that. So what is the best way?
Yes, everything is at pdxbookfest.org. You can pick up your passes there. You can also, if you know you want to go to everything, have an umbrella pass, which includes the Friday night book market. If you know you're going to buy a bunch of books, pick them up early Friday. You don't have to carry them around. Includes those 2 Schnitzer events and includes the day of festival. We didn't mention also that kids get in free. So 17 and under and or high school ID get in free, but you do still need a pass. So you'll find the schedule, all the authors, actually a digital copy of the program as well, all at pdxbookfest.org. And for more about Literary Arts, which is the organization presenting the festival, it's literary-arts.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both, for joining me here to talk about this. It really is such an exciting event and such a thing that captures so much of what Portland and the Northwest is about, but everybody coming from all over the place. A great community event. And thank you both for being here to talk about this. I'm sure you have a lot on your plate here in the next week to get ready for this. 11 stages, all the people coming in, thousands of people, but you put on an amazing show. And thanks for being here on Fox 12 Now with us.
Thanks so much for having us. Thank you. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you will. All right, thank you both. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And again, thank you to everybody, too, for joining us here on Fox 12 Now. We are live streaming here every weekday. We start at 1 p.m. Pacific, and we have content really going throughout the day, but we get to have really great interviews. We do deeper dives. Earlier today, we were talking about the pump your own gas law here in Oregon and whether it should be repealed. There's a group that wants it repealed, and we talked to them yesterday. Today, we talked to one of the senators who actually put forth that original bill that came into effect, I believe it was August 4th. So we got both sides of the situation going on there. We heard from everybody, and that was a great conversation we had earlier today. Just talking right now about the Portland Book Festival. Throughout this week, we've covered a number of different topics, and if there's ever breaking news, we're here as well. So coming up here on the show at 2 p.m., we're going to have the Fox 12 Weather Podcast video edition. The video version of the podcast will be shown. And then, so that's something you definitely want to check out if you're a fan of Fox 12 weather podcast. You want to see them in action. And also, they're going to be talking about that right there. I'm bringing it up again. I don't care. It's such a good shot. So, who can get tired of that? So check that out. And for everybody joining us, we will be back here in about 15 minutes or so. So I will talk to you then with more Fox 12 Now.